I accidentally came across a post my boyfriend had made. My girlfriend is 6 years older than me. She wants to get married, but after 5 years together I am really tired of it. How do I bring up breaking up so she will not cling and refuse to let go? There were lots of comments tearing him apart and he fired back at them one by one. She is already 32. Who would want to marry an old woman like that? She gives off total auntie vibes. When I saw the post he was right there with me. I double-checked it several times. The poster's avatar was Justin's favorite game character. The location tag was the same residential complex as our new home. Then the post suddenly disappeared. When I refreshed the page, even the location tag was gone. Justin was sitting on the couch replying to those comments, his fingers tapping rapidly. The sound sharp and grating. The installer nudged me and asked where the swing should go. In the children's room or somewhere else, but this was not something I could decide on my own. Justin, do you want the swing on the balcony or inside the room? Maybe the insults were too harsh. He clenched his phone, his face darkening, and did not even look up at me. After a moment of silence I asked again. He suddenly slammed his phone down. Are you done yet? This stupid thing, put it wherever you want. I froze for a moment. Growing up I never had a room of my own. I did not dare laugh loudly when I was happy or cry freely when I was sad. There were always people around watching every move I made, like living in a prison. When he found out, he was heartbroken. Carolina, our baby will definitely have a huge children's room in the future. Preferably a daughter. I want to raise a little Carolina all over again. I had only mentioned it once, but he remembered it for years and worked hard for it. After successfully proposing to me in this spacious apartment, he was happy all night, chattering nonstop about how we should decorate it. That swing had been carefully chosen by him after endless comparisons. He said that one day he would hold me and our child there, watching the clouds rise and the sun set, and now it had become this stupid thing. Justin was still replying to those comments one after another. So what if we have been together 5 years? Which law says you cannot break up after 5 years? Women over 30 really stink of anti-energy. I get annoyed just hearing her talk. That smell makes me sick. Even if I play around and then go back to her, she would still love me at her age. Who else would want her besides me? The installer urged me again, asking where the swing should go. I felt embarrassed. Please cancel the swing. Justin, who had been completely absorbed, suddenly looked up at me, shock in his eyes. I opened my mouth, my voice hoarse, about to speak. He waved his hand impatiently, cutting me off. You are always so picky. You wanted to change the wedding plan 5 or 6 times before. I really do not know why getting married is so exhausting, so full of pointless crap. I still have to work overtime. You handle these trivial things yourself. With that he stood up and left. On his way out he kicked over the little wooden rocking horse we had made together. He did not want to marry me. That was why everything felt exhausting to him. What I had wanted to say just now was actually very simple. Breaking up could be said directly. There was no need to put my sincerity online and let strangers trample over it. To give me a sense of security, Justin insisted on transferring $7 million to me to buy this apartment as our marital home. The property deed listed only my name. The remaining small portion of the mortgage was paid using my housing provident fund. After he left, I contacted a real estate agent to put the apartment up for sale. While filling out the online listing information, I saw a colleague's social media post pop up photos from afternoon tea. In the corner of one picture, Justin was clutching his stomach, bent over his desk, his brows tightly furrowed. That was exactly how he looked when we first met. I passed by his workstation and casually handed him a stomach medicine. It was a small gesture, but he insisted on adding me on WeChat just to transfer the money back. From then on, he started hovering around me constantly. Young men have boundless energy. When they like someone, they want to give everything they have, calling me sis this and that. If he was not deliberately planning surprises, he was staying late to work overtime with me. My once uneventful life began to ripple little by little because of him. Still I hesitated because I was 6 years older than him. 6 years, not 2, not 3. When we met he was only 21, a junior intern. I was already 27. Now he is 26 and I am 32, an almost insurmountable gap, even setting aside societal judgment. Women are considered high-risk pregnancies after 35. I could not afford that gamble, but he said he did not mind. He swore he would stay with me forever. What truly made me decide was during the pandemic. I was in Wuhan. When the city went into lockdown and everyone was desperately trying to escape, he drove all night against the flow to come to me. Both of us developed high fevers. He fed me the last few pills we had lying and saying he had already taken his. There was not much food left in the fridge. With incredible patience he followed cooking videos step by step to make dishes from my hometown, coaxing me to eat more even when I had no appetite. Once I woke up groggily and found him eating the leftovers from my bowl. I could not stop the tears. Just like now, no matter how much I wipe them, they will not stop. I picked up the sales authorization contract for the apartment, hesitated for a moment, then grabbed a box of stomach medicine and drove to his office. Through the frosted glass walls, Justin was staring intently at his computer screen as if dealing with something extremely important. It is actually very simple. In the future you can analyze financial reports like this. A young woman beside him took notes constantly, nodding again and again. She must have gotten it. Her eyes curved into a smile smile as she let out a soft wow. Then suddenly turned her face so close that her nose was almost touching Justin's. Her eyes filled with undisguised admiration and infatuation. Justin froze for a split second. He did not move away. The atmosphere turned ambiguous if Justin had not noticed me standing outside the door. In the corner of his eye, perhaps the next second they would have kissed. I knew this girl more than half a year ago. Justin often complained that the new intern was a nepo hire. Her resume looked pretty, but she was useless otherwise ever since she became his assistant. He not only had to handle his own work but also hold her hand through everything and clean up her messes. He wanted to fire her or transfer her, but because of her father's connections he could not say it outright. He would bury his face in my neck and act spoiled. Like Carolina is still the best, beautiful and capable, but slowly everything changed. Justin probably did not even notice it himself. Every time he mentioned Lily, even though it was framed as a complaint, there was a smile at the corner of his mouth. So that is how it was. I spoke calmly. Why did you stop asking? Lily looked flustered. Her face turned a shade paler as she glanced at the man beside her, silently asking for help. Justin frowned. Carolina, do not make things difficult for her. The very thing they had been doing before I walked in. Now it had become me making things difficult, so he knew it had crossed a line, and yet he still did it without restraint. Just like he wrote in that post, at my age who else would want me besides him, as if to retaliate for my bullying his little assistant. His gaze landed on the stomach medicine in my hand, his tone full of disdain. Bringing medicine is something only little girls do. If you have got so much free time, why do not you research a few more projects and think about how to boost next quarter's performance? Lily pretended to be shy, fiddling with the plastic capsule packaging. When Justin did not react, she lifted her chin slightly toward me, a silent provocation. I tossed the medicine into the trash and turned to leave. Behind me came the sound of glass shattering, followed by Lily's startled scream. Justin was angry again at some point. I did not know when it started, but anything I said or did, any small movement, could set him off. Maybe he just did not love me anymore. Maybe once someone becomes unbearable to look at, everything they do is wrong, but this time I did not care. The location of the apartment was excellent. Not long after listing it, the agent contacted me to say someone wanted to see it. The buyer liked it very much and kept asking if I truly intended to sell. The place was beautifully decorated. It was obvious a lot of effort had gone into it. I smiled but did not answer, only quietly signed the sales contract. After handing over the keys, I walked out of the complex. A tabby cat darted out of the bushes, tail raised, rubbing against my legs. It was pudding. I had not brought any cat food, but Justin never forgot. When we first started dating, we had already been feeding this stray together. Justin mentioned several times that he wanted us to adopt it. I was not very willing. Pets make it easy to form attachments, and I am especially sentimental. If we ever broke up, who would the cat belong to? Justin got angry over that. I had to coax him for a long time. He looked at me, his gaze sincere. If one day I make you feel miserable, you have to tell me. I can adjust. If you still think it is not good enough, you can break up with me. But Carolina, I will never be the one to bring up a breakup, and I will never make you sad when we get married. We will bring Pudding to live in the marital home with us later. He kept plenty of cat food in the trunk. Every day when he came home, he would take out a small bag to feed Pudding. He said cats were just like people. As long as you kept feeding them, kept being good to them, it would not leave. Loving someone is easy. Loving the same person continuously is hard. I reached out and stroked Pudding's head. I originally wanted to take you home with Justin today as my birthday present, just a little bit more and you would have had a home. Justin kept his promise. He never brought up a breakup, so instead he forced me to do it. I took out my phone and sent him a message. Let us break up. A glaring red exclamation mark popped up in the chat message, sent but rejected by the recipient. I almost forgot. For the past half year, whenever Justin got angry, I had to soothe him within an hour, otherwise I would be blocked. He would suddenly go on a business trip for days, disappearing without a trace. I would lie awake at night, tossing and turning, combing through every social platform, trying to find any way to contact him, but in reality his business trips were probably vacations with Lily. It had already been almost 8 hours. By now he was likely already at the airport with her. I wanted to leave a comment under that post, but at some point Justin had already deleted it. I smoothed down Pudding's fur and said goodbye softly. Maybe no one will come to feed you anymore. I am leaving too. Squatting for too long had numbed my legs. As I stood up, dizziness washed over me and I fell into a broad chest. A familiar voice sounded above my head. Where are you going, Carolina? Why would no one feed Pudding? I still have 3 bags of cat food in my car. Maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. I saw a trace of panic in Justin's eyes. I broke free from his grasp, reaching into my bag to pull out the contract for selling the marital home, but he grabbed me first and placed a deep blue velvet box into my palm. An aquamarine necklace last month on a business trip to France. I had seen it in a private collection. I had asked repeatedly, but the owner refused to sell. I could only post a photo on my private social account and sigh over it. Carolina, I did not forget your birthday, but you knew I was angry, and you still did not come to comfort me for so long. Justin's eyes were damp like a wronged puppy. What exactly was he feeling wronged about? Justin let us break before I could finished speaking, Lily's call came through. He listened for a moment, his expression darkening. "Why are you suddenly resigning?" I was standing right beside him. Lily's aggrieved sobbing came through clearly. "The people in the research department are all bullying me. They are calling me a homewrecker, saying I deliberately got close to you to break up you and Carolina, but I know very well that you two are about to get married. How could I possibly do something like that?" Justin walked a few steps away and coaxed her gently for a while. After hanging up, he looked at me, his gaze icy. My fingertips went numb. After 5 years together, I understood his unspoken accusation instantly. He did not believe me, yet he trusted Lily, whom he had known for only 6 months, without question. "Carolina, the research department is under your management. I told you not to make things difficult for her. Go to the company right now, clarify this in front of all the employees, and apologize to Lily." He gripped my wrist hard, ignoring my struggle and my explanations, and shoved me into the car. The aquamarine necklace fell to the ground and was crushed into pieces under his foot. The pressure inside the car was so heavy, I could barely breathe. "Carolina, split a few of those projects you are about to wrap up and give them to Lily. Let her practice." I felt dazed back when Justin was still an intern. My project had been snatched away by someone with connections. I had no background, so I swallowed the injustice. But he dragged me along, kicked open the doors of a meeting room packed with hundreds of people, and argued fiercely on my behalf. Rongsheng was the largest investment bank in the country. He made such a scene that day. Forget getting regularized, even his future prospects were hanging by a thread. What is there to be afraid of? Worst case, I will quit. No one gets to bully my Carolina. When he saw me worrying for days, he joked that Rongsheng was basically his family's company. I did not believe him. After all, the largest shareholder did not even share his surname. Now that I think about it, maybe it was true. He had publicly embarrassed senior management, and still passed probation, smoothly monopolized the best resources, and within just a few working years could casually transfer $7 million for me to buy a wedding apartment. Now, as a department manager, he could summon all the executives to an emergency meeting in the middle of the night with a single sentence just to make me apologize publicly and cheer up his little assistant. I once thought that the 7 million yuan wedding apartment was the sum total of his sincerity. I never expected it to be nothing more than a casual toy he tossed out, just like our relationship. Once he grew tired of it, he could throw it away at will. Sensing my low mood, Justin covered the back of my hand with his warm palm and softened his tone. "Carolina, I do not mean anything else. After all, you and Lily are colleagues. I do not want your relationship to become too tense. We are about to get married. You do not need to work so hard anymore. Every time I see you pulling all-nighters for projects, it really breaks my heart. From now on, just stay home and be a wealthy wife." I leaned back against the seat and closed my eyes uncontrollably. The words from that post, Justin's contempt and disgust, flashed through my mind. "Justin, if you can lie to me without batting an eye, then I hope you will also enjoy the surprise I have prepared for you." Justin dragged me into the Rongsheng Group building when it was nearly 2 in the morning. The lights in the top floor executive office were blazing. Executives I normally only saw during major meetings or in news interviews were now standing respectfully outside the conference room, heads lowered, barely daring to breathe. The moment Justin arrived, Lily's tears began to fall in heavy drops. Like a wronged little white rabbit, anyone would feel sorry for her at first sight. No wonder Justin was willing to make such a scene for her. No wonder he was even willing to tear off the mask he had worn in front of me for years. "Carolina, I am really not a mistress. My dad keeps telling me to learn more from Justin, so I had no choice but to interact with him a bit more. If this has affected you too, I will resign tonight and never step foot in Rongsheng again." As she spoke, her eyes never left Justin. Her expression was timid, her body edging closer as if she wanted to hide behind him, as though I were some kind of demon who might tear her apart alive. Sure enough, Justin stepped forward and blocked her behind him. "Carolina, Lily's father is an old family friend of ours. At most I see her as a younger sister, yet you incited your subordinates to spread rumors and destroy a young girl's reputation." He paused, disappointment filling his eyes. "When did your methods become this despicable? 5 years together, without bothering to verify anything, based solely on Lily's one-sided story. He placed me directly in the role of the perpetrator. You must apologize to Lily in front of all senior management. Admit that you deliberately slandered her and that there has never been any inappropriate relationship between her and me. The secretary will record the entire process and department heads will relay it to all employees. From now on, let us see who still dares to bully Lily." I dug my nails into my palm until they turned white. Even when Justin loved me the most, he had never thought this thoroughly for my sake. Back then he would just charge headlong into meetings, dragging me along. In his words, worst case scenario, he would quit. He had a powerful family to rely on, but never once did he consider that my career might be completely destroyed. Offending Rongsheng meant offending nearly every investment bank in the country. Decades of studying, all the blood and sweat I had poured into climbing the corporate ladder, could be wiped out overnight, and Lily had suffered nothing more than a slight grievance. Yet the seriousness with which he handled it was more meticulous than the process of taking an investment project public. What is more, this whole thing seeing was most likely nothing more than Lily's own carefully staged performance. My chest tightened in suffocating pain. Carolina, your moth to the flame love was doomed to total defeat. Clinging to the last shred of unwillingness, I asked softly, then what about me? Justin, have you ever thought about what will happen to me when the entire company, when the entire industry knows about this? Justin's eyes clouded over, his emotions unreadable. Perhaps he had never truly considered that question before, otherwise he would not have fallen into silence. After a long while he finally spoke softly, Carolina, you do not need to think about those things. In the future you just need to be a good wife. I suddenly laughed at this point. Why was he still lying to me even if I gave him the greatest possible benefit of the doubt? If he truly wanted to marry me, what he wanted was nothing more than to keep me caged at home, stripping me of all ability to survive on my own in the future. Whether he really ended up with Lily or with some other woman, I would have no power to resist. I could only swallow my grievances and endure it for the rest of my life. Justin, what am I to you really? With nothing more than his position as a department manager, he had caused such a massive spectacle, yet he still offered me no explanation at all. I stopped arguing silently. I walked into the conference room. Justin reached out, trying to grab my hand, but grasped only air. His face darkened as he sat down not far away. Lily sat smugly behind him, propping her chin up and giving me a faint triumphant smile. I lowered my gaze, took out a USB drive and inserted it into the computer. Since they had left me with no way out, there was no need for me to leave them any dignity. Ever since Lily joined the company, she had caused trouble openly and in secret. I did not have much power, nor could I change anything. All I could do was collect the evidence my subordinates handed to me. It was not that I had not tried to tell Justin before, but every time he looked displeased, never patient enough to hear me out. He would not tolerate a single bad word about Lily. I had thought he truly regarded her as a protégé. That was why he protected her so fiercely. I never imagined it was because he saw her as a lover. When Lily saw what appeared on the big screen, the smile froze on her lips. At the end of December last year, she had recommended high-risk financial products to low-risk clients, causing losses of several million. In early February, she secretly forwarded internal materials about a company's upcoming IPO to a private equity studio engaging in illegal securities trading and harming other investors. At the end of March, despite obvious discrepancies in her financial reports, she still submitted the documents to core clients, resulting in losses on their end and the company losing a large number of high-net-worth clients. The evidence I presented was not entirely unknown to upper management. After all, those who had climbed to this level were all seasoned players. Out of deference to Justin's family background, they had chosen not to speak up. After all, Justin would cover the holes Lily left behind, so everyone had turned a blind eye. But clearly Justin knew none of this. His face turned ashen. The oppressive authority of someone used to power radiated from him, making everyone present, including Lily, fall silent in fear. Lily, he asked coldly, is what Carolina said true? Then, as if something struck him, he looked at me with a complicated expression. And the matter you mentioned about Carolina slandering you, is that actually true? He slammed his fist onto the table, anger surging in his eyes. So it turned out he hated being deceived just as much. Yet when he had toyed with me, lied to me at every turn, he had never once considered how I might feel. I let out a cold laugh. Justin, do not you have anything you would like to explain to me? Or should I start addressing you as boss? Justin, now though none of that really matters anymore. He pressed his lips together, his gaze tangled with conflicting emotions, guilt, confusion. After a long pause, he finally asked in a low voice, what do you mean does not matter? Carolina, I told you before, Rongxing is under my family's name. You just did not believe me. I was not deliberately lying to you. I shook my head. Did not you bring me here tonight to apologize to Lily? I turned toward her. Lily, you are right, you are not a mistress. Because Justin and I have already broken up. Justin's pupils shrank. He stared at me in disbelief, panic flooding his eyes. What nonsense are you talking about? His expression darkened as he signaled everyone in the conference room to leave. I did not want to keep entangling myself with him. I turned to go. He grabbed my wrist from behind and pulled me tightly into his arms. His body was tense, trembling slightly. Justin, are you scared? Carolina, do not do this, okay? I know tonight was unfair to you. I was misled by Lily. I will apologize to you, and from now on I will keep my distance from her. Whenever there was conflict, he never reflected on his own faults. He simply shifted all the blame onto someone else. Only now did I realize how utterly irresponsible the man I once loved truly was. If he had listened to even a single word of my explanation, things would never have reached this point, but he had not. He was always like this, easily swept up, his emotions flaring fast and fading just as quickly. I did not want to go in circles with him anymore. I saw your post. His body stiffened. He released me abruptly, forcing me to face his panicked gaze. What post? What are you talking about? His voice grew weaker with each word until finally his eyes darted away, unable to face me directly. Even though the post had been deleted, those words were already burned into my heart. So what if we have been together 5 years? Which law says you cannot break up after 5 years? Women over 30 just reek of auntie vibes. I get annoyed if she says one more word. Just smelling that scent makes me sick, even if I get bored and go back to her. She will still love me at her age. Who else would want her besides me? Strangely enough, it had only been a single day yet saying these words out loud now stirred no emotion in me at all. Perhaps people are only hurt when they still care. The color drained from Justin's face bit by bit. Flustered, he tried to cover my mouth with his hand. Do not say it, please do not say it, Carolina. I can explain, it is not what you think. Back then I suddenly found it a little funny. They were words he himself had typed out one by one, yet he did not even have the courage to hear them spoken aloud. Where did the confidence go, the one he had when he so righteously snapped back at those comments online? Was it because he realized I was truly thinking of leaving him? Because he could no longer humiliate me without consequence? The calmer I became, the more clearly I saw what kind of person Justin really was. The filter that once came with loving him deeply shattered completely. There was not a trace of attachment left in me. Let us break up, Justin, just as you wished. Let us part cleanly. Justin's reaction was far more extreme than I had expected. He shouted at me like a madman. I do not agree. I will never break up with you in this lifetime. A relationship is never decided by one person alone. After all these years, how can you just decide to leave whenever you want? Have you ever considered my feelings? I only felt that he was becoming more and more absurd. He was the one who had gone online first, asking how to break up with me without me clinging to him, yet now that I was the one proposing the breakup, he had become the one refusing to let go. If this was the outcome, why bother in the first place? Perhaps even Justin realized the contradiction himself. His tone softened. I am sorry, Carolina, people have bad moods sometimes. That post I wrote, I was just in a terrible state and wrote nonsense. It was not what I truly felt. Couples always say hurtful things when they argue, but that does not mean I do not love you. How can you decide that our relationship is over just because of a few sentences? That was exactly it. He never understood what the real problem was. That post was merely the final straw. For over half a year he had subjected me to endless emotional neglect. Completely indifferent to how I felt every day after work, I was exhausted, yet I still had to soothe him. His dissatisfaction, his complaints, his negative emotions. A relationship like that made me unbearably tired. If only one person is always the one making an effort, how long can it possibly last? And his coldness toward me was not because his temper had worsened, it was because he had met someone he thought was better. Lily, she was young, pretty, and from a family that matched his, so he hesitated. He felt I was no longer the best choice, but he could not bear to let go of the past either. Caught in that dilemma, all his pent-up frustration had nowhere to go but onto me. So what had I done wrong? Why did I have to endure all of this? I said slowly, word by word. Justin, you betrayed me, did not you? The color drained from his face inch by inch, his eyes filled with shock. After a long silence, he finally admitted that for a period of time he had indeed developed feelings for Lily. The truth was, whether men or women, everyone experiences novelty. No matter how much you love a dish, if you eat it long enough you will eventually grow tired of it. He claimed that he had not crossed any concrete line, so he did not consider emotional cheating to be betrayal at all. Instead, he questioned me with self-righteous confidence. Carolina, can you really guarantee that you will never develop feelings for another man for the rest of your life? But having feelings is not wrong as long as we hold the line and do not actually cross it. This relationship can still go on. Why do you have to be so fixated on this? A violent wave of nausea churned in my stomach. I did not know when it happened, but the Justin who once could not tolerate even a grain of sand in his eyes had rotted into this person. I did not want to keep entangling myself with him and turned to leave. But Justin suddenly snapped, slamming me against the wall and gripping my wrist with brutal force. Only when he cried out in pain did he loosen his hold, clutching his bleeding lip, looking at me with wounded sorrow. Carolina, do you really hate me this much? I have already humbled myself this far, explained everything clearly. Why are you still being so stubborn? After a moment of deadlock, seeing that I refused to back down, he slipped back into his usual lofty posture. Do not forget you are already 32 without me. Do you really think you will have a better option? I will forgive you for today. You were just being emotional and impulsive. Let us both cool down for a few days. I will wait for you to come apologize to me. Justin's confidence made me wonder if I had been too humble for too long, so humble that he was certain that after everything that had happened I still could not leave him. Silently, I submitted my resignation through the company's internal system. All these years I had worked day and night trying to build a better future with my own hands so that my child would not have to suffer the way I did growing up. But perhaps in Justin's eyes all of my efforts were nothing more than a joke. After all, even if 10 of me worked together, I probably would not earn as much as his family spent in a month on household staff. So when he watched me working so hard all those years, what did he really feel? Amusement or pity? I stopped thinking about it. On impulse, I bought a ticket to Yunnan. I had wanted to travel for a long time, but every plan was always interrupted by sudden work. This time I wanted to truly relax. I went to Dali and rented a small courtyard by Arai Lake. Every day I learned tie-dyeing with the locals, made handmade flour cakes and ground red beans with them. The children next door often took me horseback riding and herding cattle. We watched the sunrise together from the mountaintop. That mountain was quite special. There was a swing there. I sat on it with a little girl in my arms, watching the the evening glow spill across the land, dyeing everything in shades of orange and red. Suddenly, I felt a moment of clarity. It turned out that these wishes did not require waiting for another person to make them come true. I could do it on my own too, and that feeling was wonderful. After living there for a while, life inevitably became a little monotonous. I once asked an elderly woman who lived there, "Do not you ever get tired of seeing the same scenery every day?" She said she loved this land. She said that every day she paid close attention to everything on this land, so every day she could discover something different and then fall in love with it again in a different way. So that is how it is. Feelings are the same. If you truly love someone, how could you ever grow tired of them? During my peaceful days in Dolly, I had no idea that Justin had already gone completely mad. He went to the wedding apartment to look for me, only to find that it had been sold. He grabbed the new owner by the collar and demanded hoarsely, "How is that possible? This apartment was Carolina's life's work. How could she bear to sell it?" We agreed we would take pudding to live there together. We agreed we would sit on the swing on the balcony and watch the sunrise together. We were about to get married. The homeowner looked at him thoughtfully. "Maybe you hurt that girl too deeply. When she sold the apartment, she did not shed a single tear." Justin was devastated. He bought the apartment back at 10 times the original price. Every day he stayed shut inside, refusing to go out. The entire apartment was filled with traces I had left behind. The little wooden rocking horse we had made together. After he kicked it apart in anger, he quietly fixed it again. The swing on the balcony. After returning it, he bought it back once more. He spent his days touching the photos of me on the walls, drinking himself into sleep. Otherwise he would lie awake until dawn, replaying our past over and over, unable to understand how I had suddenly stopped loving him. Just like the days when he had blocked me back then. One night very late, I suddenly received a call from Justin. I did not even know when he had taken me off his blacklist. He said pudding missed me. I found it a bit absurd. A stray cat like that saw all kinds of people every day. How could it possibly miss someone like me who only fed it a few times? Most of the time it had been Justin who fed it. If anyone was missed, it should have been him. He went on to ask me many questions about raising a cat. He said he had taken pudding back to the wedding apartment and even made a beautiful cat bed. He bought 3 or 4 cat trees online, and Pudding was very happy at home. "Carolina, can you come back? I really know I was wrong. Do not you miss Pudding too?" I thought about it for a moment. Why would I miss it? There are so many cats in this world. If I could not let go every time I took care of one, how painful would my life be? Justin was silent for a long time before finally asking, "Then what about me, Carolina? Do you not want me either?" I do not know if he realized how familiar that sounded back when he forced me to apologize to Lily. When he showed no concern at all for my future, I had asked him the same question, so now I answered him expressionlessly, "Yes, I do not want you anymore." Justin was obsessive. He chased me all the way to Dolly and bought a small courtyard right next to mine. Every day he would follow me from a distance, not daring to approach or disturb me. Sometimes he would search everywhere for good food and quietly leave it at the gate of my courtyard. Sometimes he would knock on my door with Pudding, saying the cat was hungry and asking if I could invite him inside. Sometimes he would message me on WeChat saying his stomach hurt, pretending to be pitiful, hoping I would go take care of him. I replied with thinly veiled mockery, "Bringing medicine is something only young girls do at my age. It is no longer appropriate." Those words landed like a slap across Justin's face. Pain showed clearly on his features, his eyes reddening. He said, "I am sorry." Again and again he regretted personally destroying our relationship. Perhaps this is just human nature. At the beginning, when the balance of affection tilted in my favor, he was the one who pursued me first. He was cautious, careful, afraid I might leave him, but once he realized that I too had fallen into the relationship and begun to depend on him, he became certain I could not leave. That was when the perfunctory attitude and emotional manipulation began. Only after losing everything did regret arrive. Far too late. Later his family came. They brought a group of bodyguards and forcibly took Justin away. His mother, elegant and imposing, sat across from me and wrote me a check. Just like those cliched scenes in TV dramas, she told me to name my price. "How much would it take for me to leave? Justin is the heir to Rongsheng. He cannot waste his life here with you. If you truly love him, then do not ruin him." I thought about it for a moment. 10 million. Why turn down money that comes knocking on your door, especially when all these years he was the one who owed me first? I took it as compensation for emotional damages, so that the years I gambled everything, staking my youth, would not end in total defeat. When I left Dolly, my former landlord told me that the small courtyard had already been bought by Justin and gifted to me. He said he could not give me the marital home, but he would always give me a place to rely on, because he had promised he wanted to raise a new version of Carolina again, the Carolina from childhood. He hoped I could have my own room, a place where I could laugh freely when I was happy, cry openly when I was sad, and no longer live inside a cage. I stayed silent for a long time. In the end, I entrusted the courtyard to the landlord, asking him to manage it and to welcome women who were trapped by love, careers, or health issues. As long as they needed it, the rooms would be free for them to stay. I hoped that every woman in this world could have a room of her own. With that money, I went abroad to study again, relearned finance, and through former connections entered Wall Street in the United States, where Where I received offers from investment banks far better than those back home, it turned out that letting life move beyond marriage and childbirth was surprisingly easy. I thought that after Justin's mother told him I had taken the money and left her son, Justin would come raging back to mock me, but he did not. There was no news of him at all, as if he had vanished from the world. Even Lily never came to trouble me again. Everything returned to calm. The past felt like a very, very long dream, one that faded completely upon waking, until one day I realized that the largest investor behind all the investment projects I was handling came from a small domestic private equity firm, and the boss behind that firm was him. I sighed softly, still haunting me after all, but we were all adults now. There was no need for everything to be black or white. Since resources tied to mutual interests were being handed to me, why not take them? I simply focused on doing my job while staying true to my original intentions and let the past drift away with the wind.